When I was a year old, my father passed away. My brother was 3 at the time, and we don't remember him at all. So the movie was really just my curiosity and lifelong wonder about who my dad was.
While the film is somewhat autobiographical for Dan, it's a universal story about those people who supported us.
In the early days of trying to figure out this story, I realized I didn't really miss having a dad. It wasn't until a friend of mine heard the relationship I had with my brother. She said, the reason you don't miss your dad is because your brother was your dad. Your brother was supportive and loving and caring and encouraging and proud of you, and it blew my mind. I had never thought of that before.
I'm always super impressed by Dan. He's my favorite filmmaker and always has been since I was a kid. His jokes are hilarious. He always made me laugh. He had such insight. Whenever I'd meet new people, including my wife, I had to sit through the Dan Scanlon Film Festival.
Even though it's a lot about my dad and I, it's even more about my brother and I.
There's just something as an artist where you want to express your own personal story and your own real feelings, and I felt like there was always gold there with Dan.
One of the biggest story challenges that we had in this movie was the beginning of the movie. It was really how to start these characters off on this journey.
The main character is always the most challenging. One of the early versions of Ian, he was a scientist. He has liked magic but been bad at it.
I really felt like the movie should start when the boys were young. I wanted to see the beginnings of Barley supporting Ian right away. We did a lot of versions of them younger, and to be honest, a lot of the story team told me they don't need to be kids. We could meet them as teenagers. And then just over time, we did experiments. I think emotionally it started to work.
We wanted to show the evolution with Ian and his growth in magic as he was growing as a teenager.
Before you cast that spell again, you're gonna have to practice your magic.
You know, it's funny, Barley is based on my brother, but Barley's nothing like my brother. Barley is wild and chaotic and a kind of lovable screw-up.
Doth my brother dare disrupt an active campaign?
My brother is very logical and smart and soft-spoken and a computer programmer.
We knew immediately, if you say, oh, Barley, he's into 80s rock and gaming of all kinds, and he has an old 70s, 80s van that he drives around in. Everyone's like, oh yeah, I know that guy.
Behold, your chariot awaits.
Do you know that guy?
It's a story about how these two boys are longing for a parent, and it's hard to then show another parent who's wonderful and perfect. The truth is my mom was wonderful and perfect, but that doesn't make for good drama.
My mom was all about us. She just adored us so much and supported us in anything we wanted to do. The three of us became just a tight group. We supported each other.
I like when Mom gives him a hard time and pinches his cheek, so she's like my little adult, you know, my little grown-up man.
Happy birthday, Mr. Adult Man. Oh, Mom.
There's a scene we call Chaotic House. It is our first glimpse of this family together.
Whoa!
5-second rule. Ha!
You're meeting the main character, and you're seeing him in his small world.
Oh, Ian! Please don't get that dragon riled up. I don't have time to walk her. Oh, I've got so much to do today. I still got to swing by the office.
You get who they are with each other.
I'll sew that later tonight, okay?
When I saw those three members of that family start to come to life on screen, it was really emotional for me. It really felt like that's my family.
Hands off, mister. Those are for your party tonight.
My parenting style was very relaxed. Our house was the house where all the kids came. In fact, our neighbors thought I had a daycare home because there were bicycles out in front.
She kind of let us do whatever we wanted, within reason. And in a way that led to like unbridled creativity.
We went through a lot of Kool-Aid.
See, Mom knows how to let out her inner warrior.
Thank you. Now take out the trash.
We didn't really want to make a traditional fantasy film.
Left here.
We started playing around with the idea of a modern fantasy world.
I think a lot of the fun started to come out of what this quest could be in our modern world. Well, what if it was now? Barley would have a van.
They're going on this grand quest, but rather than throwing saddles over their steeds and riding off, they're getting into their van and heading down the highway.
I think that fantasy flavor helped give it a twist on the buddy road movie.
Most fantasy films have a little village that they start in. They have a big city that they go to, and they have a swamp scene and a fight scene.
There's the scene where they're leaving their home to go out somewhere bigger than where they're coming from. There's always a tavern scene where you need to go there to get something to start your quest.
This is it. The legendary Manticore's Tavern. We don't have the person who's like, oh my God, you're on a quest? Oh, we used to help people. It was so fun.
When we first started the movie, we had another character named Jenny who they met at the tavern.
Salutations, wayfarers! I am the fiercest warrior in the land, but you may call me Jenny.
Jenny was a really fun character who worked as a waitress at the Manticore's Tavern.
She becomes like her warrior self and has this triumphal moment.
We loved Jenny. Jenny was basically Louise in the movie as a satyr, fawn creature.
You could inspire a new generation of magical quests, and that is a world I want to live in.
I heard Dan's making a fantasy movie, and I was like, bring me on. I got so excited.
So I was thinking like Ian's magic, Barley's music, Jenny's strength, maybe combined their skills, make them worthy to get this object.
I love fantasy. I grew up reading fantasy, watching fantasy. I loved the ability to just sort of escape into this imagined world.
I will vow to protect you and help you succeed in meeting your father with every ounce of my strength.
We started talking about Ian and Barley and their characters, and we kept describing parts of Jenny that we wanted to give each of them.
We were making some changes in the movie, and then suddenly I think Louise said, does Jenny have to be in the movie at all? It's a test of a great story artist that she could suggest getting rid of the character she loved more than anyone.
We came away and said, okay, let's take Jenny out and see what happens to the brothers' relationship. It was definitely a sad day.
Jenny is why the Manticore and Mom ended up developing in the way they did, because we lost a really strong female character.
Let's crush some curses!
It was a huge win in getting the Manticore and Mom to be these really interesting characters that had their own journey.
Where is your magic sword?
It lies beyond those gates!
The tricky thing about a quest is that it can very easily become episodic. What's our first monster that we fight? What's our second?
We had all these things that we wanted the boys to do and experience. They were all really great, and you're in a fantasy world, and you want to see all these scenes. But when you put them all together, there wasn't the flow that we wanted.
In role-playing games, we call that a dungeon crawl, where it's just like, what's in the next room? What's the treasure? What's in the next room?
We realized that whatever obstacle had occurred, it had to challenge Ian in some way that changed him. And as long as he was changed by an obstacle, it felt like the movie was moving forward.
You see that, Dad? The apprentice has become the master.
It starts off as my story, and then it changes, and you dramatize it.
He'll talk about, like, they have some days in story where, yeah, they got nothing. The story went backwards, but he says, before they leave, it's like, we got this one thing.
As long as one thing changes in the story, I'm interested. So if you change that one scene and suddenly the other scene works, it's like magic. To me, that's what I love about making movies. And I think it's true with the whole crew.
All of a sudden, he was just this amazing leader that impressed the heck out of me.
We were saying yesterday there's no way to angrily write a letter with one of them. Dear sir, I found it personally warming and comforting. I would sit in my story room, and there were pictures of my brother and my dad and my mom on the wall, and I liked that. I felt like they were kind of here helping. My brother has always had a really unconditional love of the things I do and support of me. I realized it was time for me to give back, to be supportive of him, to thank him, and I think that's what I want this movie to be. It's just an opportunity for people to think about the people in their lives who have supported them and helped them become the people they are today, and pay that favor back.